It doesn't matter how much information that you accumulate. If you don't know how to treat people, therefore your behavior towards other people, it really doesn't matter how much you know. Because tonight, all I saw was a whole bunch of brothers going back and forth with information, and it was a whole bunch of, you might as well say, chaos. It was very chaotic, and I was hearing a whole lot of the same things that I've been hearing. Well, the letter J is wasn't alive, wasn't known at the time when this person was born, and his real name is this. This means this means that. Information. Now, all of this information is supposed to be so divine. Oh, this person was black. The Israelites are black people. We are the lost tribes of Israel. Blah, blah. How do you treat them? You have all of this information, and you're in here debating this limited information, and the next thing you know, nigga is in the air, and motherfucker, and all of this, but everybody got these little things on, walking around looking like Power Rangers, or looking like borderline Rastafarians or Arabs. And all of this information is going around. And everybody's claiming to be of the lost tribe of Israel, when all of this dialogue is only revealing that you're all lost, because you don't know how to talk to one another. You don't know how to treat one another. I keep trying to tell people, it does not matter how much information you accumulate. It doesn't matter how much you can break this down, and you can tell people what this means, and his real name is this, and this means this, and that means that, and he's from this tribe, and this tribe is like this, and this area is like that. But you don't know how to treat one another. When religion or the Bible or whatever you want to call it is information that is supposed to imbue within the human being of how to treat one another. in attending a second meeting with the Israelites tonight. The video that I made last night, I talked to them about their treatment towards one another. It also talking about their language, considering where they're supposed to be in terms of the internal, based upon divinity. Of course, I got verbally attacked, which is nothing new to me. I'm always being verbally attacked. I'm always being attacked in a whole lot of different manners when I'm always speaking about being exactly what you say you believe. I've been going through that all of my life. This is not a man that's sitting up so-called feeling sorry for himself. I'm just telling you about my personal experience through, you might as well say, the world of different ministries and their beliefs. If you're going to say that you represent something divine, I expect from you divine behavior, not only towards me, but at least towards those who assert that they are on the same level as you are as Israelite brothers. I would expect at least some common respect for your brothers. However, we come in contact with a whole lot of people that say that they live a certain way based upon certain divine principles. In 2019, I met a woman named Salam Yilma, and she lived in Atlanta, Georgia. And we talked on the phone for a very good amount of time. And she had a beautiful mind, But once I relocated, I gave up everything and I relocated out there, she had this picture on the wall that I displayed in the previous opening of this video, the 42 principles of Mat'at. And every single one of those principles, I read every single one of those principles, and considering her behavior and her thinking pattern and her lifestyle, she didn't fulfill any of those, not one. Even though her language said one thing, her behavior towards me and other people in whom she came in contact with was very much in opposition of those 42 principles of Ma'at. That's if I'm saying that correctly. I didn't see any divine demonstration. She was one of the most cruel human beings that I ever met in my life. Now, most people may say, well, you're attacking her because things didn't work out. No, I'm not doing that at all. I'm not doing that at all. My whole thing is, if you're going to say that you represent something in terms of divine behavior, be that word that you've submitted yourself to must be made flesh in your principles of action towards other people, even towards people who don't have a tendency of having those same belief systems. Now, when I was out there, everything that I saw was in opposition of what those principles of Ma'at. The reason why those other pictures were up of the heater, I had mentioned in another video that after her and I broke up, I was living in an area to where it used to be a patio, and therefore it didn't have any heating vents out there. I was living there away from her while she lived upstairs and she was doing her little thing with, with her little boyfriends and everything. However, the reason why that device was over her heater, as she invited this older man who she felt that she had to tell me before I moved out there that she was totally disgusted with this man. However, after we broke up, she had him come over there and put that plastic lock over the thermostat, because at that current time it was very cold in Georgia. And so she, when I was in the restroom, she went in that area and she removed a heater that she had said was hers, because she knew that at that time it was like between 30, 38 and 42 degrees out there in Atlanta. And that particular area where I was, I say again, was a patio area that didn't have any vents to heat that particular area. And so she did that to prevent me from getting up, or in terms of turning the heat on, that I may not freeze. So she had this man who she said she was so disgusted with come over there and put that over the thermostat so that I won't be able to adjust the heat to prevent myself from damn near freezing to death. The refrigerator, she emptied out the refrigerator and she took all the food upstairs with her, because she was trying to freeze me out and she was trying to starve me out, because she knew that I didn't have any funds in order to supply myself with food, because the moving company that I was working for refused to pay its workers. And so she knew that I wasn't able to buy any food for myself. So her implication was to freeze me out and starve me out. Now, this was a woman who tells people, I send you beams of light and love and harmony. And, she's one of these energy people, positive energy. And she's with the 42 principles of Ma'at and all of that. Propaganda. I bring all of this up is because the most cruel people that you will ever find in your life are the ones who say that they live by these divine principles of action. They talk a good talk. It's good dialogue. They can articulate it and they can sound poetic in the way that they express it and the way that they display it to other people. However, internally, there's some very evil and there's some very cruel people in terms of the way that they treat other human beings. When no matter if you are a Christian or the so-called conscious person or an Israelite or whatever the case may be, a Muslim, whatever the case may be, as I said before, if you do not know how to treat other human beings, what you say you believe means nothing. Because if you don't take action based upon those principles that you claim to live by, then it means nothing. So it doesn't matter how much you say you follow Ma'at or the teachings of Muhammad, peace be upon him, or the teachings of Christ, or whether you are one of the Israelites from the tribes of Israel and all of this. You have all of this information that a lot of people accumulate. However, they don't know how to treat one another. Now, when I was in Georgia, if it was one group of people that showed me some, you might as well temporary love and respect and concern, was the community that the majority of the people of the world are dead set against, and that is the Jehovah's Witness community. This guy named Richard, who was her next door neighbor, who opened up his heart to me and he opened up his ears to me to try to get a basic understanding of what was going on between her and I. And through his conversation and me explaining to him exactly what went down between her, I noticed the wisdom that this brother had. And he did not immediately tell me that he was a Jehovah's Witness. He said, "I'm a Jehovah's Witness, by the way," because I asked him, I'm like, "Where are you?" I said, "You have a very profound and beautiful understanding of things." And so that's when he opened up and he had told me that he was Jehovah's Witness. So him and I became friends. He didn't invite me to the Kingdom Hall. He never invited me. I just felt like, wow, if the Kingdom Hall produces men like this, maybe I should look into it. So I believe it was the third conversation that him and I had. And I asked him, I said, "You say you are a Jehovah's Witness?" And he said, "Yes." And I told him, I said, "The next time you go, would you mind me going with you?" And he said, "Yeah, you can." Now, most people may say, well, he mentioned that to plant a seed in you, and so it was a form of manipulation. No, it was not, because I asked him. There's something that I noticed about this man. I saw his lifestyle. I saw the way that he carried himself. I saw the way that he spoke. This man, Richard, was a Jehovah's Witness manifested. And so through him, I started going to the Kingdom Hall, and I met some very beautiful people who lived what they said they believed. Now, these are the people that are always being attacked by the world. They're always being attacked by the world. However, when I was out there suffering in Atlanta, Georgia, it was the Jehovah's Witness community that helped me get through a whole lot of things. A whole lot of things. Now, there was an older gentleman out there named Charles who put forth a very strong effort to see that I was okay. It was because of him that made it possible for me to be able to move out of where I was in terms of Salam Yilma and her cruelty, because it was getting very much out of control. You know, she was bringing guys out, you know, to flaunt in my face. She would leave and stay gone all night, and then she would come home in the morning with these guys. "42 principles of my life," right? The queen, the positive energy, and the high vibrations, and all of that madness, because that's all it is. It's just words. It's just words. Because if those words and if those principles don't become flesh, it means absolutely nothing. I could care less what you say you believe. It's not about what you say you believe, is how you treat other human beings. So we're talking about principles of action. Action. You have to allow those words and those principles to become flesh in you, and you must manifest these principles of action to where you are a manifestation of those divine principles. because you are acting out these things. And after you get to a certain point to where you don't have any sense of internal premeditation to act these things out, those principles, divine principles, become an instinctive act upon the human being, to where these things are not premeditated because of your belief system. Those divine principles are one with you and you with those divine principles. This is what it means when Yeshua said, I come not to destroy the law, but to fulfill it. He said to fulfill it means to become one with the divine principles of action that these laws are fixated upon, to the point to where it is instinctive now, and therefore I am a manifestation of divinity, to the point to where I am no longer up under the law, because I am in a state of divine holiness, to the point to where I am not under the law, because there is no conflict inside of me having to submit to any form of divine instruction, if this is understood. So the word became flesh and dwelled among men, which means he was the seed of David according to the flesh, but declared himself the Son of God according to the Spirit of holiness. The man walked in the Spirit. So when you're in the Spirit, you're no longer under the law. You're no longer under the commandments. The Creator doesn't have to command you to do anything, because you are divine. See, the Israelites, they're always talking about the law. You have to stay obedient to the law, which does not imply that you're holy. And this is the reason why you guys go after one another, and there's always this information that you're trying to see who knows this information better than the next. And this is where you get the debates from. We're going to get together and we're going to have a debate, because you have a whole bunch of intellectual vanity going on. This information and these principles are not for the sake of debate. They are for the sake, they are for the sake of dying to the self, to the degree that you are you become a manifestation of these divine principles of action. But what's going on in the world is that a lot of people, they want to accumulate all of this information, and they want to say, oh, well, this person was black, that person was black, when all of these people who you study about never mention race. I recall in 1996, I forget what magazine it was, but it was titled, Was Jesus Black? And it had a picture of the face of Teddy Pendergrass on it, and it had a what you call those that thorn crown on him, and it had his hair long. I'm sitting there reading this article, and it said that more black people are starting to give their lives to Christ on the perception that Jesus was a black. And therefore, there's a lot of idolatry going on. Now, if the color of a man's skin is that alone is going to encourage you to give your life to Christ, that's an oxymoron if I've ever heard one. Because if you study his life, he never claimed to be any race. He never claimed to be any nationality. He never claimed to be a part of any religious or political party. He was a man who walked in the Spirit of God, and that's it. He said, my kingdom is not of this world. And everything that I hear the Israelite community talking, the Christian community talking, a lot of these sects of religion, they are always dealing with race. And this person was black, and that person was black, and we're the lost tribe of Israel. Well, if black people are the lost tribe of Israel, and if black people know this, then why are you so degenerate? If you are a holy people, then why are you so unholy today? And how are you going to get the message that you are a holy people when from these Israelites, if they spend the majority of their time attacking one another because they have no love and no respect for one another based upon divine principles of behavior? How are black people going to know this if this is in fact relevant? When it all boils down to it, righteousness is a choice for the individual, and it has nothing whatsoever to do with the color of a man's skin, whether he's black, white, or whatever. It doesn't matter. This is the reason why you never will find in any version of the Bible of Yeshua mentioning him being a part of any race or culture of people, because it was not his concern. That's the concern of the world. This is the reason why he said, my kingdom is not of this world. So how is it that you can say you are following behind this 42 principles of Ma'at, and you're such a very cruel and loose and perverse and cold-hearted and callous human being of a woman? How can you, as an Israelite, attack your brother and call him out his name? You calling him nigger and MF this and F that, and you're all sitting at this big round table, and you all got Bibles sitting before you that condemns this behavior and those words that are coming out of your mouth. Obviously, information does not imbue within the human being divine behavior. It does not. Righteousness and divine behavior starts with the choice of the human being dying to his current self and her current self, and having the will to go through the process of dying for the sake of being born again into the Spirit. That's what it's about. It's not a thing of let's all get this information so that we can all meet up and we can debate with one another. And as long as we're all on the same page, you're my brother and you're my sister. You know how many people that I've come in contact with that mentality? That's a sick mentality. It's a hypocritical mentality. And it's a very cruel mentality. And this is why the Creator told them to stay away from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which I believe is just religion. because religion deals with knowledge based upon what is considered good and evil. And the Creator said, you will die surely if you give way into this information. And look at the world today. Look at us today. Look at what I went through in Georgia. It didn't even have to end that way. We could have just both went our separate ways. She didn't really have to do all that she did and still claim to be a follower of this 42 principles of Ma'at. She didn't have to be that way because I never mistreated her. I didn't do anything but love that woman. That's all I did. And even after I got out and I got back home, I sent her an email and told her that I was okay and I would like to resolve our differences because I felt like she was we gained a very powerful friendship and I wanted my friend back. You know, just because you would make it as a couple, I felt as though I had a very beautiful friendship with her because I felt that she had a beautiful mind, but she was just a temptress and a seductress. And she was able to take information and accumulate it, and she would be able to articulate it in a manner to where it was borderline poetic. And she would do that for the sake of seduction, to get you up under her spell so that she could eventually use you. And then once she found out that she wasn't able to use me because she had rushed the whole situation and I was having some problems out here, I went out there with the belief that we were going to grow together. However, when I bumped into a whole lot of problems with the moving company who didn't want to pay me or the rest of the workers, that all of a sudden became my fault. And when I relocated from the city of Las Vegas to Georgia, to where Georgia has an economic system to where when they look at your resume, if you don't have any experience in working with Georgia, this prejudice mentality comes about and they look at you as non-Georgian. And so what they do, if they don't see that you have any experience on your resume in terms of working out there in Georgia, they're not going to hire you. They're not going to hire you. So I was faced with those things, and she knew that I was faced with those things. And Miss 42 Principles of Ma'at didn't care. She didn't care. She listened to her ex-boyfriend Eric in terms of me because he was jealous when I showed up, and so he helped destroy that. And she spent the whole day with him, giving him some "I'm sorry" pussy for like 5 or 6 hours. And then when all of this was done, and he helped her destroy her future with me, he left her alone and went off and married him an Asian woman. Until this day, he's with this Asian woman. Why am I bringing that up? It's because if you say that you believe in these certain divine principles of Ma'at, or whatever you say you are, and you meet a man who is a good man, and he respects your belief, and he is willing to be taught your angle of belief system, and you to decide to give it a shot, that's the man who you need to be listening to, not your ex, because he's your ex for a reason. But the purpose of this video is to say If you are studying any area of information that is considered to have within it some divine instruction, allow that instruction to affect your being to the point to where you become a manifestation of what you claim you've given your life to. But the only thing that I've ever experienced is a whole bunch of people who said that they were this and they were that, and their behavior towards humanity was in opposition to what they said that they believed. The whole thing is, and you should question yourself. This is not me questioning you. I'm just throwing this question out for you to question yourself. Is what information you've given yourself to, does that create any type of divine instruction within you to display before the world? Does information imbue divinity in your behavior towards humanity? Because if it doesn't, what are you reading? What are you studying? Obviously, it is the fact that righteous behavior depends upon the individual. You are either a righteous person or you're not. So if you are thinking that you're a righteous person and you taking all of this information in, if you're not demonstrating that based upon what you say you believe, then you need to wake up, because you're not a righteous person. You are not as righteous as you think you are, because obviously you're not paying attention to your behavior towards humanity. So ask yourself, am I a righteous human being or not? Ask yourself. Ask yourself. You don't have anything to prove to anyone. Observe yourself, and you make up your own mind what and who you are.